Yo, yo, yo. What's up, my dudes? What it do? You beautiful peoples. What's going on? Happy Tuesday, baby. It's got to be better than Monday. Well, usually anyways. Yo, yo, yo. You shake right, Jerry. My dude. Booty, baby.
Are pretty funny, guys.
Bro, that gif never gets old. That gif is so good. She did such a good job on that, dude. Flipping crazy. Good old Gabbaroo. I wonder how Gabs is doing. I probably should reach out and just say, yo, we're hoping you're doing well, you know. We love Gabs. Gabs is awesome. Dude, yeah, she does a great job on them all. She does them so fast too. She's like, oh, yo, hey, I'm gonna make you something. I'm like, okay. She'll have it done in like an hour, you know. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, she's super cool, dude. Gabs is great. Yeah. What's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Everybody, even if you're lurking about right now, I get it. It's early, dude. Good morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Oh, we got another fantastic day ahead of us, man. We got video gaming news for February 13th, and then we're gonna dive into more Fallout New Vegas. We're gonna try to finish up Fallout New Vegas very, very soon. We gotta try to get this thing finished up. I got a bit off track with the time I put into Pal World, you know, and so we gotta try to get Fallout New Vegas finished up so we can start trying to look at what we're gonna play next, you know. No, bro, what? You know, it's cool. Just let them know that I said that, you know, they suck and you don't have to go to the office today. They'll be cool with that. Yeah. Just state exactly like that. Just state it exactly like that. Oh, is that what it is? Crap, dude. Oh. You know what, dude? I would, if it would literally get you out of work, I would do it for you. You know what I mean? I would totally do it for you, dude. I know that you're lying to me, though. Nice capital, dude. Yeah. So, well, hopefully you'll be able to catch some of the news, anyways. You could do, yeah. I figure you probably had a lot of leave, yeah. But I know, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, I've been in your situation too, and you know, the same kind of stuff. Like, you try to save as much of that as possible, either for a rainy day or for like end of career mode. You know what I mean? You try to really like save up a big chunk of that to like kind of just coast through the final part of the career, you know what I mean? But you start getting to a point where you have like a lot of use or lose, right? Isn't that the case? So yeah, it just depends. It depends. And it depends on what kind of leave it is and everything too. So but let's go ahead and do what we do, man. Let's get in here and let's start checking out video gaming news. See what we got for the news today, cool. And then we'll play Fallout New Vegas and see how close we can get to finishing that up and talk about what we're gonna play next. We need to talk about what we're gonna play next, cool. So let's get all that done. Let's do it. Let's get in here. Let's go. Let's do this. Right, dude. Yeah, that's a lot, bro. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, dude, no doubt. Yeah, I kind of figured you were probably sitting on a big old fat flipping chunk of use or lose, dude. Yeah. That's not a bad problem to have, though, right? I mean, you'd rather have that problem than, you know, not have enough leave, right? So things are good, dude. Things are good. The thing that sucks is, yeah, it's a good problem to have. The thing that sucks is usually whenever, if you, people are like, well, I'll just, if I don't want to use it, I'll just sell it back. But dude, you sell that leave back, it gets taxed so bad. Usually selling your leave back gets taxed terribly, you know? So you're usually better. I mean, it just depends on your situation, what you need more, but you're usually better off just taking the leave. You know what I mean? At some point, just using it. I mean, it's not that you don't come out with, you know, the extra money or whatever, but it gets taxed heavily usually. Well, at least here in the US it does, I know. So let's see, we got Helldivers 2. AA energy is an antidote to video game malaise. Yeah, I'm so glad to see Helldivers 2 turning around, man, because it was a bad look to begin with, right? Let's see where it's sitting at right now. Old Helldivers 2. It's at 76. 76. Oh, yeah. Right, exactly, dude. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely different to depending on if you're like active or your civil service or, you know, what the situation is, right? Yeah. Yep, for sure. So again, I think taking into consideration here that this game is now sitting at a 76% positive is, you know, in the grand scheme of things, you look at 76% and you go, that's a mediocre experience. Most of the time, a 76% is. Considering the fact that this game started at a low 50s positive rating, which is virtually teetering on right there on that mark of going either positive or negative as a whole, review wise, you know. And it's been trending upwards. This game's only been out for, this will be the 5th day. It had a lot of issues to begin with. It had a lot of issues, and they took care of it, man. They're continuing to update it. How many updates have they pushed now? Does it say? It doesn't really say on here. You could probably pull up the they even had another update yesterday. Yeah, there was an update yesterday. There was a server update on Sunday. There was a small update in patch notes on Friday. So they're continuing to just push out a lot of updates to make this more stable, a more enjoyable experience. And this thing has jumped over 20% positive since its release virtually 4 days ago, you know. Yeah, the kernel level anti-cheat. I know. Yep. You do need to be aware for new fire. I know. I heard that. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yep. You definitely don't want to get in the way of your friendlies. Yep. I watched a little bit of it. I didn't have a lot of time, but basically it was it Friday? Friday, after I ended my stream, I had just a little bit of time before we left, whenever I had finished getting ready for us to get prepared to leave for our family stuff we had going on for the, you know, what had happened and everything. And I just went over to an old, there was a streamer that I still follow that I used to watch an amount of back before I streamed, and they were actually playing it. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just hang out in here for a second while I finish doing a few things here and see what the game looks like. It looked decent. It looked pretty decent, you know. It looked like they were having a good time. And so the thing is, from the get-go, they weren't having really a whole lot of issues with, you could team up with friends. You just couldn't, like, team up with randos. Like, the matchmaking for, like, rando lobbies and stuff was completely broken, which, you know, for people that don't have a lot of friends that they play with online, that feels bad, right? But if you do have friends that had the game and everything, you were probably sitting in an okay spot, as long as your friends were available to play, right? But I think they've gotten a lot of that kind of fleshed out and fixed and everything. And, you know, this is something quite a bit advanced considering what Helldivers 1 was and what this has turned into. And it looks like a lot of fun. It really does. You know, I was interested in playing it from the get-go. I was definitely turned off by what the reviews were saying initially, but it does look like they're turning it around. So that's a good look. It's a good look. Hopefully it keeps trending that way, you know? Yeah, dude. I kind of want to bring this up. We've talked so much about the layoffs in the industry, and I think it's important for the kind of community we are, and you know, the mindset I have about the industry and trying to promote a healthier industry and highlight the more negative aspects of what's happening in the industry. I want to know what these game developers are explaining per se about these huge layoffs. I have my own inclinations about what is behind all this. You know, I've talked about it a lot, but I want to see what the game developers are having to say here on IGN as well. Yeah, we knew that it was eventually Palworld was going to kind of, people were going to finish up a lot of that content and be done with that and stuff, but there's a lot of potential there, and I hope that Pocket Pair does a good job with continuing to build off of what they have. They've got a lot of potential to work with there. We're supposed to be getting some kind of okay. Yeah. February 15th, Thursday. Okay, here we go. So it has been announced finally. On Thursday, we're going to be getting our big update from Phil Spencer. That's good. It won't happen on my day off tomorrow. So we'll be able to tune in and find out what's going on there. That's good. So we'll pull that up. I wanted to make sure that we kept track here. And perfect. About 2 o'clock p.m. for us on Thursday, this is going to pop. So we'll end our stream on Thursday with watching this Xbox business update showcase. There's a lot of wild stuff coming out of Xbox about, you know, the way it sounds like they're pivoting even more away from the traditional strategies of the console competitive side of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff going on. I hope they address the layoffs. I want them to address the layoffs too, publicly. You know, no companies want to publicly really address their layoffs, and Microsoft has been a contributor to half of the massive amount of layoffs we've already seen in 2024 so far. So I want to see them address it to a much greater extent than what we've already seen. I doubt they will, but I want them to address it. That was going to be the same thing I just found. Yo, let's look at Suicide Squad real quick. I don't think it really, you know, it did finally go back up and break the 60 rating threshold. So it is probably going to sit right here. I don't think this is going to change really. Unless this ended up hitting another platform at some time in the future or whatever. This is about where this is going to sit now. This is going to be done right here, really. It is a 60 on Xbox, it is a 60 on PS5, and it is a 65 on PC. What that tells you is that this game is consensus playing the same on all platforms virtually. And this is a pretty good look at what the content has to provide you. I don't think this game plays poorly. I think that the game is actually pretty polished from everything that I've heard. So from what I understand and what I think that people should be taking away from these scores is that these are reviews that are going to be giving you really an idea of what to expect content wise. I don't think this game has really had a lot of issues with performance. Games shouldn't have issues with performance in large part on release. They should be very polished. So, good. But this is not a great game. I don't think anybody's going to be blown away by this. I never did. I tried to advise people to be careful here. And I'm, you know. Yeah, no, not really me either. Yeah. I mean, look, but for me also, I think that the graphical fidelity of things, again, for me and the way that I approach my games is usually just going to be a cherry on the top, right? Like, if a game looks great after it has great content and it performs well, and, you know, then fantastic. But I'm much more concerned about the content being phenomenal within the game as a whole, the mechanics being tight and fluid and seamless and intuitive and having nice quality of life in the game, and the story being very rich and you know, writing being fantastic and the sound being great. And I mean, everything that culminates in a great video game experience. You know, I'm much more concerned with all of that before I am graphical fidelity. I just am. I'll play a pixel game. I'll play a pixel game. But I know what you're saying. I agree. I mean, it wasn't mind-blowing graphically, but I don't need it to be. Never needed it to be. You know, I never ever need that from a video game, necessarily. Again, if it looks great, that's just a nice little additional awesome for me, you know. Yeah, I think a lot of people probably did because of this being Rocksteady, right? I think that that's probably where a lot of that notion comes from, right? Because when you look at what this game is, and we're talking a good number of years now, after the Arkham Knights, you know, stuff, then those games looked phenomenal back then. You know, yeah, the Batman Arkham games were fantastic. I think that as a whole, this is disappointing for anybody on many fronts of what they fell in love with Rocksteady for in the first place, right? I mean, I've talked about that. It's terrible to watch a company turn into this, right? And how much of that can be attributed to the fact that Rocksteady is underneath WB? Probably a solid amount, but it is what it is, you know. I think what people have to take away from this is that Rocksteady is no longer the company you fell in love with for the Batman Arkham games. Yeah. So, Whether it be for the what you were expecting visually, what you were expecting gameplay wise, you know, all the way around, I think this was a huge disappointment. I mean, obviously it was a huge disappointment to see them pivot from, you know, what the Batman Arkham games were into this game as a service, monetize the crap out of everything, AAA price tag. That first and foremost was a very disturbing thing to see coming out of Rocksteady. It was also I mean, for me, I mean, I remember vividly whenever we first were doing news segments and getting still images, you know, of screenshots coming out of people that had been able to see some stuff of the game, and we're seeing menus of battle pass and cosmetics, and it was just riddled with monetization. It was like, oh, this looks bad, you know. And I think all the way around, this is just a very disappointing look at what another company people fell in love with at some point, well, at a definitive point, right, for the Batman Arkham games. They fell in love with this company for that, and it seems like this company has tried to take advantage of that fact by pushing out something scummy and subpar to take advantage of their fan base, and to take advantage of people who are fans of this universe, is what it feels like. It's not the first time we've seen it, right? It never feels good. It never feels good, though. It's unfortunate. No, Gaming Bible, you stay away from me. I'm not on the Hideo Kojima bandwagon here, dude. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I respect the crap out of Hideo Kojima for what he's done and meant, and you know, everything that he has, you know, he's been a huge part of progression in the video gaming industry and made a ton of phenomenal games and everything. But I'm not on this bandwagon of just he can't do anything wrong, or like, it feels like he's put on this flippin' pedestal of just, I don't like where he's headed with his games. I guess that's what I'm getting at. Because for me, it's not a game, it's a movie, but it's trying to be presented as a game. I am not a fan of that in this industry. I don't like it. And it's weird that I think we see it a lot, right? People get like blinded by the either being a fan of one thing or another, right? It's like, you know, this company can do no wrong, or this developer can do no wrong, or whatever. And you know, to anybody that's a fan of just sitting there and watching, you know, half to 75% of a game and not actually playing it, look, I'm sorry, that's not a video game. And I think that's where Hideo Kojima is headed. I don't know that for a fact, but everything that's being touted about his new game coming, and I'm not talking about the why can't I ever remember the name of that flipping game, dude, with yeah, I know, dude, that's what I'm saying too. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how I see it. That's how I see it. It does feel like a visual. It's like a visual novel, like cinematic experience with some kind of. You get to touch the controls sometimes. You know, it's like, bro, it's not a video game to me. Yo, one second. So I don't know. I know I gripe about that a lot, but it's something that obviously I'm passionate about, you know, because it just, I don't. We've had games, you know, in the industry for quite some time that were, you know, more of a cinematic experience. You know, The Quarry, you know, all the games like that, even the Telltale games and stuff, right? But you know, I feel like those were always promoted as more of like a visual novel kind of cinematic experience. Whereas I feel like more of these games coming out now, like, I'm sorry, dude, but Alan Wake 2 it made me feel the same way. There were some parts where you were in more control than other parts, but a lot of that game was just grossly unengaging, you know, and it was just so full of unnecessary cinematic crap. It was weird. And I don't like whenever this notion of games being touted as a true video game instead of something more like a visual novel, you know, or a cinematic experience, interactive cinematic experience. They need to be touted as such, so people aren't baited into playing something that they think is going to be fully interactive. Because I'm not, you know, that for me is something that definitely needs to be deliberately addressed and separated in this industry. If this is the way we're headed, and we're going to have all these games being made, Hellblade 2 looks the same way, you know, where there's just so much of it that you're not actually playing a game. I can't be the only one that feels this way, you know. And for the people that enjoy those experiences, that's great, you know, but it's not me. And I don't want to be baited into playing games that I don't feel like are actually true video games, you know. It feels kind of odd. And it does seem like Kojima is just getting further and further and further and further into this notion of like making movies more than making video games. And we'll see what happens with his next title. The one he has coming out next is the sequel to, what was the name of that game? The Death Stranding. The sequel to Death Stranding. So that's not the one I'm talking about. But he has another game in development right now. Game. That he's basically been touting as nobody will be able to tell whether it, you know, that it's a game. Everybody's going to think it's a movie. And it's like, bro, that's not a game then. You know. Oh, the pre-sequel. You know what, dude? I wasn't even a fan of that one, really. Yeah, I played a good chunk of the pre-sequel, and I just put it down and never picked it back up. It just wasn't there for me. I don't know. Yeah. Got baited back into the older Borderlands. The older Borderlands games are bangers, dude. There's been talk about Borderlands 4 is apparently probably pretty close to an announcement here, dude, sometime soon. So there might be something on the table coming up pretty soon for Borderlands 4, just so you know. We'll see. Yeah, I haven't even played Borderlands 3 yet. I haven't. I own it, I think. Pretty sure I own it. I haven't even played it. I loved Borderlands 1 and 2. They were flipping awesome. I loved those games. And then the pre-sequel was kind of meh for me. I didn't really dig it that much. And I haven't played Wonderlands, but I need to play 3 as well. I heard 3 was it was decent. It was okay. How you doing, Davey? What's up, buddy? Yeah. Look, I've got something up on this. Xbox's big business update. That's going to be hitting on Thursday. We're going to watch it together. Doing all right? About to leave for work. Respect, yo. Respect. Yeah, everybody's leaving me today. Everybody's leaving me. I understand it, though.
Emotional damage.
That's right. Immortals of Avium was a $125 million awful idea. Bro, this is Magic Call of Duty. You guys remember Magic Call of Duty? Yo, let's look at this too. Game Informer goes hands-on with Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered. Okay, let's look at this also. Forgot about Magic Call of Duty. That's because it was very forgettable, dude. I mean, it was, look, I'll pull it up on Metacritic. It wasn't like a total just flop, I don't think, critic-wise or review-wise or anything, but it wasn't like phenomenal either, you know? It was like a 70s review, I think. Yeah, it was like a high 60s, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty forgettable, dude. You know what I mean? For most people. That's why I was telling people before that one came out, too. I was like, look. Like, this is one of those games where before it even came out, the guy was like, who was it? The creative director or whatever on that game was somebody that actually originally worked on Call of Duty. And he was having to come out and he was being quoted as saying, "Don't call this Magic Call of Duty. This isn't Magic Call of Duty." It was like, bro, if you're having to tell people not to call it Magic Call of Duty, it's probably Magic Call of Duty. You know? I mean, you can't tell people what to think about something, you know? You can't do that. You've got to let people come to their own conclusions about things. It's just like, you know, it's like Bethesda going and trying to convince people on the negative reviews for Starfield that the game is good. Like, you can't do that, dude. They've made their choice. They've played your game. They've come to the conclusion they don't like it for one reason or another. So you going in there and explaining to them why you think they should like the game is asinine. That's crazy. Yeah, it kind of just reinforced people to call it. Exactly, dude, exactly, yeah. Which is why I kept calling it that. You know, I found it hilarious. I found that hilarious. And that's why I kept calling it that. And that's what, I mean, I was telling everybody, I was like, you know, it's not going to be probably a terrible game, but it's not going to be something real memorable either. And I was kind of just trying to tell people, like, you're probably going to be better off if you're interested in the game, waiting till it hits EA Play and just playing it on EA Play through, like, Game Pass or something. Or an EA Play subscription. Not that I want to promote that, but, you know, rather than paying a AAA price tag for a game like that, you know, playing it on a subscription service is probably going to save you a little bit of buyer's remorse, because that game didn't look like it was going to be fantastic. But we'll pull up the article here and see what they have to say about it. Yo, Banishers looks like it's doing pretty good, by the way. I looked at this yesterday. This game came out yesterday. It's on our like schedule as something to pay attention to, right? Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden. It's very positive right now. It's an 89% positive. This is like a AA game, I think. You know, not like AAA, not quite quadruple A. You know what I'm saying? Flippin' Ubisoft, dude. Give me a break, dude. But from what I've seen so far, this game is feeling fairly polished. People are really liking the combat. The camera is being, you know, the camera seems to be a little bit weird for some people. I think if you've played a game maybe like God of War, then this might not be too bad for you. But I don't really know yet either. But people are actually enjoying this quite a bit right now. You can see very positive reviews so far. Whenever I first got on here, there were a lot of reviews that were just basically from receiving the product for free and stuff. And I don't put a lot of stock into those kinds of reviews. I want to see people that actually invested money into the game and stuff. And a lot of people like this one. So rare to have an Unreal Engine game that does not stutter like crazy, melt your rig, take an eternity to compile shaders, doesn't crash, well optimized, performance is solid, game is good, AA game. So go in with that in mind, but combat is solid. Story and world are really good. Progression is satisfying. Overall, really, really good game from these starting hours. Very God of War 2018 like. That's the impression I got from like the camera and stuff. 2018 was a third person. 2018's God of War. You're talking about a third person perspective, but it's very, very like almost over the shoulder of Kratos. You're like kind of hugging and you're like backpacking him almost, you know what I mean? You're just kind of like riding around on his back. You don't get a lot of real good viewpoints and stuff. So you're probably going to have to deal with a little bit of that. I don't know how long it's going to take to beat the game or anything, but right now people are really enjoying this game, and it has a pretty cool premise around it and stuff. So I don't know. We'll keep track of this. We'll keep track of this. If you want to look at this, here, I'll share this. But I wanted to bring that up because it's something we had been wanting to pay attention to. Uh-oh. Stellar Blade rated 18 plus for nudity and excessive violence. You know who's going to love this? Soup. This is going to be Soup's copium for the morning, dude. Yep. Soup's going to be sitting there going, oh, yes, Stellar Blade. Ah, Stellar Blade. Look, I'm not going to dive into any of this right now. We are going to get definitive information, at least more definitive information on this front about all this stuff happening with Xbox on Thursday whenever they have their showcase. And I have an article up talking about the showcase, the times. We're going to watch the showcase together on Thursday. So we will hold off to try and on any of the speculation until we get more from Phil Spencer and the other heads of it at Xbox, okay? Tarkov studio head clarifies microtransaction news. Yeah, we heard where that's coming in. Oh, yeah, Starfield player count has dropped by 97% on Steam. Yep, people are finishing up Starfield. That's all that means. Same thing that's happening with Palworld right now. Palworld broke record after record after record after record, but Palworld has dropped by virtually like 65 to 70% of its player base over the past couple of days. People are just finishing up with the content, right? And that's what it is. So it's now, you know, it's now kind of pocket pairs. The ball's in their court, if you will, right? They've got to tighten the game up. It's early access, right? But it's on them now to tighten the game up, add more content. We got to see where they're going to go next with it and see if they can pull people back into the game. That's how this works. Same thing with Starfield here with Bethesda. Feels like they kind of missed to begin with. Now, if they're smart and they're listening to their player base, then they will be implementing things moving forward that will potentially bring in old players that have already played through Starfield, and new players alike. If not, Starfield's probably going to die off, kind of. But we'll see how that goes. You always want to see the developers listen to the fan base and the consumers and stuff about what they want to see in the game moving forward, right? But we'll see how that works with Bethesda. Bethesda has this weird stance on, like, it seems like they're very, very adamant about keeping Starfield the way that they wanted it to be. And they don't care a whole lot about whether or not it appeals to their fan base, which is kind of weird. Aren't you supposed to in large part be catering to, you know, what your consumers are wanting to see out of your products? I don't know. It's a little bit odd, this like stance they have about that, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe. I think that from a game player's point of view overall, it was just weird to see them. I understood where they were coming from the whole time with Starfield of, you know, wanting the universe to be felt like you were exploring something closer, more akin to what we know our universe to be, where most planets were going to be uninhabited, not harbor life, things like that. But as a game developer, you also have to understand that's not entertaining, right? And it seems like they still don't want to pivot away from that. We'll see if they do or not. But it's, you know, and again, I mean, I see where they were trying to go with that to an extent, but they also have to understand who they're making these games for, right? Right, exactly. So, you know, you're talking about making a game with this universe that you're promoting to be vast and massive, and people understood already that they were saying that there was going to be some bleakness to it and stuff like that. But I think it was even to a greater extent than people realized. And if you don't, it doesn't. I've talked about this many times, right? You can create, you know, the trend of open world. Yeah, you can create the biggest world that you want, but if it's bland and unengaging and not fun, what was the point? Right? And it almost feels like that's what they did with Starfield. They created this huge open world, this huge massive this universe for you to explore, but there wasn't enough in it to be engaged with. Yeah, you too, Ferret. So I think that's where I'm just a bit confused about. Hope you have a good day, buddy. Appreciate you, man. Be safe, dude. And it's just kind of weird to see them hold so, I think, adamant to this you know, stance of it needs to be that way. I think that the best thing they could do is really like embrace the notion that maybe they messed up. You know, it's like, well, yeah, maybe this wasn't the best idea. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a lot of these you know, planets, and we're going to incorporate some kind of thing where at least half the planets now have life, harbor life, and they're going to be more fun to explore, find things on, and stuff like that. I think that's the best thing they could do to actually improve the experience for most game players for Starfield. Whether that appeals to somebody like, you know, Hod Tower or anybody else at the top of Bethesda, it's more about appealing to your consumer and the player base than it is to appealing to whoever's at the top of that company. So I think that's the best thing they could probably do. French Union claims there are critical issues that Don't Nod. Don't Nod is the company that just made Banishers of Ghosts of New Eden, right? Let's put that up there. That'll give us a reason to look at Banishers as well. Yeah, Nightingale. God, when is that? Like the end of this month? 22nd or something? I think the 22nd. 20th. Yeah, the 20th. I'm kind of interested in this. 7 days from now. So I've kind of messed up the Outer Worlds here because I got too wrapped up in playing Pal World during January, as well as we were still finishing up Baldur's Gate 3 and Alan Wake, getting soft locked out of that. So I'm still finishing up Fallout New Vegas. That, along with some unexpected time off, has kind of eaten up our Outer Worlds time frame here. Welcome to Paradise, I don't think is going to be a thing that happens, so that'll probably be taken out. Sons of the Forest, I really want to play this game on full release, but I don't necessarily need to play it as soon as it full releases. I'd like to play this with community too, so we'll talk about that. But I am kind of interested in Nightingale. Banishers is looking very good. Thaumaturge comes out on the February 20th as well. We've got stuff to talk about today. Thaumaturge looks like it could be pretty dope. Oh, this is March 4th now. March 4th. So that changed. Hold on. Oof. Well, that's probably not going to get played right there, but I'm going to put this here. Because if Unicorn Overlord's hitting on March 8th, I'm playing Unicorn Overlord on release, and I'm going to be playing Unicorn Overlord probably until Dragon's Dogma 2 hits. These are definites for me. So, Welcome to Paradise will probably get taken out. We'll figure this out. We'll talk about this a little bit more today, okay? Yeah, we'll figure this out. But maybe we try Nightingale. We're on a schedule here where we could probably, we got 7 days. We could, that's plenty of time to finish up Fallout New Vegas and get prepared for doing some Nightingale stuff. We might need to find a game to play for a couple of days in the meantime. Stardew Valley, maybe. Just start it early, you know? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Nintendo Direct is rumored for this week. What? Thought we weren't supposed to be getting one until March, dude. February 15th, dude, that's Thursday as well. Okay, interesting. Let's put this down here. Let's go here. Okay. Soup! Why are you we talked about that yesterday. Stop that. Stop that. Here, I got your copium in here already though, dude. I got your copium in here already. We're going to talk about it probably first. I got your copium. I already talked about the Pal World player drop. Shut up. You're so full of crap. Oh God, dude. What did you tell me? You told me that what you thought that what was the Helldivers 2 had more concurrent players at 80,000 on Steam than Palworld did. You don't know? How am I supposed to believe anything you say? I had to tell you that Palworld had over 2 million. You need to stop it. Yo, here, I got you, dog. Look. I got your Stellar Blade Copium, dude. Yeah, we are, dude. Yeah, we're going to be watching it on Thursday. Yo, there's a Nintendo Direct event on Thursday as well. Will they talk about the new hardware? I don't think so. But they could. Here's your Stellar Blade stuff, dude. We're gonna, I'll get you your copium in a second, dog. What's up, dude? Happy Tuesday. Yo, look, yeah, Nintendo Direct is happening on Thursday as well. Rumored to be scheduled for February 15th. And as well as the Xbox Big Business for Thursday. So, yep, I've already got all that stuff up, dude. We're gonna be talking about it. I've already got it planned. So Thursday we're gonna be trying to watch all that stuff together. Yep. I got your copium, dog. Yeah. How you doing today, buddy? Yep, we already got that up. Yeah, Thermaturge is delayed. I just saw that. This was supposed to come out like at the end of, well, like February 20th. And it's been delayed till beginning of March now, which is going to interfere with us playing. So Thermaturge is not going to get played because I'm playing Unicorn Overlord. Oh, you're a trip, dude. Bald Man Gates 3. Oh, bro. Yeah, don't forget to get your free games, yo. You've got Doki Doki Literature Club Plus Lost Castle. These are free right now. And then on the 15th, which is 2 days from now, you get Dakar Desert Rally for free also. So don't forget your free games. Doki Doki, dude. It's free, bro. It's free. Even for those people that like to hate on Epic, soup. Look at that. Yeah, I actually just found this out accidentally that Thermaturge had delayed. It was already delayed. The date was moved back on Steam. So I'll pull this up. We'll talk about it. Yeah, Epic free games are fine. Yeah. Oh, dude, you're a trip, man. Let's go one more page real quick, and then we'll jump into all these. I don't know that I necessarily believe this. I'm not a big fan of monetization anyways. I think it has a lot more to do with, you know, the methods in which you're implementing it, more than just you got to earn the right, you know what I mean, to do it. Looks like there's a Switch sale going on right now, so you can go check the e-store and see if there's anything there that you're interested in. Yeah. We're gonna be talking about that. Yep. We've got that up. Yeah, we've already talked about that. Yup. All right, let's get in here. Yo, so look, here's the thing. Most voice actors in the industry don't get paid very much. Voice actor paid $200 only. Yeah, that was the guy. They were talking about the guy that did the Peggy 18 or whatever. You know, like you hear that all the time too, right? You hear that all the time. You hear it all the time. And that dude only made like $200 off of that lump sum. Didn't make anything off of it even after that, you know? And so it's this was actually a hot topic here recently because of all the SAG-AFTRA stuff within the video gaming industry and trying to come to contractual negotiations with some of the bigger companies in the industry and voice acting was a big component of it that they were trying to negotiate on. Voice actors for quite a long time in the industry have had a tough time. Yeah, where and a big part of the negotiations this time had to deal with like AI, stuff like that. But a lot of the voice actors don't get paid a whole lot of money. You'd be surprised. Yeah, you'd be surprised. The more popular ones do, obviously, but there are a lot of them that don't get paid very much at all. It's a pretty big struggle. So, again, I came across this just kind of accidentally this morning before we even hit this article. I looked up Thaumaturge because I pulled up my schedule for what we're going to play. It was looking like Thaumaturge was supposed to initially release the end of February, so I pulled it up on Steam, and then it said March, like March 4th. And so then we came across this, which says upcoming game delays released to avoid busy February. The Thaumaturge is moving its launch as big games like Power World and Helldivers 2 clog up the early months of 2024. This game looks sick. I really want to play it, but it is now releasing 4 days before Unicorn Overlord, and I am definitely playing Unicorn Overlord. You are so crazy, dude. The Thaumaturge, an upcoming narrative-focused turn-based RPG, was planned to launch in just a few days on February 20th. However, the game has now been delayed until March as the developers and publishers hope to avoid a busy February, give the game more breathing room. As we warned late last year, the first few months of 2024 have been stacked with popular video game releases. This is bad news for folks hoping they could catch up on their 2023 backlog in what is usually a quiet time for the game industry, as the first few weeks of 2024 have already delivered hits like Pal World, Helldivers 2, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which nobody should be buying this game. Nobody should be buying Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Supporting RGG and Sega on this game is disgusting. They paywalled New Game Plus. This should never happen. And nobody should support a game that companies that do that kind of thing. That is the scummiest crap ever. Tekken 8 and Suicide Squad kill the Justice League, which also was just a big, absolutely disgusting, monetization-filled, scummy piece of software. You know, I tried to tell people. Some people listened. Some people didn't. Soup! The rest of February isn't empty with games like Pacific Drive, which looks dope. Gonna play that in Scaretober. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which looks awesome too. Star Wars Dark Forces Remastered, and Skull and Bones, which I also recommend people stay away from. Skull and Bones is a game that's been in development for 12 years. It's had roughly going on 10 delays, 8, 9, 10 delays, something like that. It's way too many. A tumultuous, very, very, issue-riddled development process. And people should be very, very hesitant about Skull and Bones, don't pre-order this. Don't buy this on release. Wait until you see what people are saying about what this game has to offer in reviews before you decide to fork over money for this product. This probably is not going to be great. All launching before March 1st. As a result of this packed start to the year, the Thaumaturge is going to wait for the dust to settle a bit. On February 12th, developer Fool's Theory and publisher 11-Bit Studios announced on Twitter and explained in a press release, even though the Thaumaturge is already in the hands of some critics, it was going to be delayed until March 4th in order to avoid all this chaos. Quote, taking February's busy launch period into account and the opening for a better release window, the two companies said in a statement, we've decided to take this opportunity to give more breathing room so it receives the attention we believe it deserves. We want you to have enough time to enjoy the game in full. We feel the current release window is not the perfect moment for it. While folks who have been waiting to play the game are probably a bit sad that they have to wait about 2 weeks longer, it's a smart move to get away from so many big and small hit games and try to find a bit of a gap in the release schedule to give your game a better chance to find an audience, as well as the attention of overworked critics and content creators. We'll have to wait and see if the move pays off. The Thaumaturge is an isometric RPG set in 1905 in an alternate universe Poland filled with magical powers and tough choices. It will now arrive on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S on March 4th. This game looks sick. I really want to play it. It's unfortunate that it got pushed back because I probably would have played this game had it not gotten pushed back. I would have played it on release. Now, I would have to find another spot to play it because it's releasing too close to Unicorn Overlord. But I hope it does well. I hope the game's good. It looks awesome. It looks awesome. And I would really like to play it. But we'll just have to see what happens. So if you were interested in the Thaumaturge, just know this game has been pushed back to March 4th, okay? Now for Soup's Copium, dude. Well, I'll get Rebirth on PC, and it'll look even better on PC. So, Stellar Blade rated 18 plus for nudity and excessive violence. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty obvious what they were trying to do with this game in the first place. From like the first trailer I saw, I was like, bro, they are really pushing the like sex appeal in this game, you know? Like that's a big part of what this game is about. It was recently revealed that Stellar Blade, the upcoming post-apocalyptic saucy slasher, was given Korea's most mature rating by the Game Management Committee, yet to be rated by the likes of PEGI or the ESRB, but it's assumed that it'll receive an 18 plus amateur rating in those markets too. The document posted by Korea's Game Management Committee stated that the driving criteria for this rating was the presence of nudity and excessive violence in the game. Whatever could they mean? Stellar Blade has drawn plenty of attention in recent weeks following the game's extended trailer reveal. At the PlayStation State of Play showcase in the trailer, which outlined the core principles of the story, we got an in-depth look at the game's protagonist, Eve. She's a scantily clad and athletic warrior with otherworldly sword skills and a wardrobe bursting at the seams with clothing that makes her burst at the seams. That's what I was saying. It was funny watching this because how many times have you played a game where they do this? It's very obvious that they want to promote you to keep playing the game in a way that they're promoting more risque clothing options for these characters by it's like I think one of the examples I used was like Lost Ark. The female characters in Lost Ark, the further you went into the game, the more armor class you got, the less clothing they wore, which is weird. It doesn't make any sense at all, but that's what the people want, right? Yeah, it's nothing new. No, it's nothing new. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not anything new. It's just funny the way it works, right? It's like, you go from wearing like maybe, a pair of like some tight pants that don't show much and like a t-shirt or something, and your armor class is like pretty low, and you've got like a hair, you know, like maybe a hat on or something with the character, and then they go to wearing like, you know, a tiara. In game, they've got a tiara on, and they're basically just wearing like the minimal amount of lingerie that they could possibly wear, and they've got the highest armor class that anybody's ever seen in a game. It's so funny, dude. It really is so funny. It's like, bro, they're out there like hacking and slashing big like robotic overlords and stuff, you know, and they're wearing lingerie to do it in. It's so funny, dude. Oh man, I'll never get over it. It's always just pure comedy to me to see it, dude. But sex sells, baby. In the report published by the Game Management Committee in Korea, it was stated that the Stellar Blade exhibits excessive violence, including decapitation and mutilation, and that the female character is appearing naked in her costumes. The term used by the GMC to describe this was explicit expression of body exposure. I mean, we even looked at the trailer. Like, she runs bent over. It's like a third-person game, right? It's like a third-person game. She runs bent over, so the whole time she's running, she's just like... She's just like she's got a big old padonkadonk, dog, and she is just like shaking that thing in your face the whole time. It's hilarious. It was recently revealed that Eve, Stellar Blade's protagonist, has had special attention paid to her backside. There it is, bro. During her creation, and that her body is modeled directly on a Korean models. There will be a diverse array of outfits available to unlock in the game, none of which are behind paywalls, and they're almost all designed to accentuate Eve's figure. Yeah. There's that cake, baby. There's that cake right there. Yep. And there's Soup's little, Soup's in love with this character, but she looks like she's 12, bro. She looks like she's 12, dog. Come on, man. Come on, dude. Come on. Look, dude. Look. Bro. Oh, you kill me, dude. Oh, bro. This is a funny article, dude. Good times, man. All right, man. There's your copium, Soup. There's your copium, dude. Tarkov studio head clarifies microtransaction news. What's this, bro? What is it? I probably don't want to pull that up. This is your current wallpaper? Oh, no. Oh, is it? Yeah? Bro, she looks 12. She looks 12, dude. Why do they make her look so young? Jesus. She does. She looks stupid young, dude. Her eyes are gorgeous, though. Looks 19? No. Nope. Oh my God. All right, here we go. Tarkov, we saw this yesterday. I didn't really dive into the article, but we saw where Tarkov looks like they're putting microtransaction news or microtransactions in their game. So here's the news on the microtransactions. They're clarifying this, right? It'll probably be microtransactions that allow, legal hacks. Sorry. This game is supposed to be riddled with hackers, dude. In a recent post shared on Reddit, the head of the studio at Battlestate Games, COO Nikita Buyanov, clarified a few points around the recent news that Escape from Tarkov will be getting microtransactions. This news surfaced following the game's latest update 14.1, which stressed that extra lines on a player's stash will be available to purchase in the game in future. Justification. extra lines on player's stash will be available to so it's just quality of life stuff. Yeah, you've seen that in a game like Path of Exile as well. Path of Exile is a free-to-play game, though. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Tarkov is not, right? Justification. On Reddit, Buyanov pointed out that the team at Battlestate Games is adding purchasable options because the game is running for 8 years without any additional flow. You just buy it and play it forever. Some of the EOD features found in the game's now defunct top-tier version need to go back. So, Path of Exile was a free-to-play game forever. And all they did was add in, like, cosmetics and, like, stash tab stuff. Further revealed and confirmed that in future updates, the team plans to introduce the following in the form of microtransactions. Stash expansions for every version available, up to a total of 28 additional lines of stash space. Clothing, early unlock, ability to play offline co-op. Buyanov made it clear these microtransactions won't introduce pay-to-win elements to the game. There will no in-game money, items, weapons, gear package, purchases, and so on. No boosters also. What a quote. In a final note, it was highlighted that the additional stash lines will also be unlocked via in-game progress without spending any money. That's good. That's good. That's good. The more you know. Right on. Cool. Cool, cool. No pay to win, and you can still unlock all those stash tabs without paying up front. So you can pay to progress faster, but you don't have to. You can grind that out. That's good, dude. I'm okay with that. French Union. Pay to progress. No. French Union claims there are critical issues at Don't Nod. Whoa, how did you get all that lingerie, bro? Oh, man. Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden. This is a game that I've been taking a look at. I was interested in playing this. So, it's doing fairly well so far. It's only got 103 reviews, but it's at 89% positive, and it does look like people are really enjoying this game so far. It is considered like a AA game, right? So not like an necessarily AAA budget kind of game, but not like a low budget game either, kind of sitting there in the middle. And the people are pretty happy with the polish of the game, the finished state of the game, the mechanics, the story and everything. I've read reviews, and it seems like people are really enjoying this so far. Wait, what? Eat ice cream next month? Like a huge cake or something? Yeah, let's go, dude. Yeah, I'm down. Yeah, what kind of ice cream, though? Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden is being released globally, emerging as one of the most ambitious games ever created by Don't Nod, once famed for the creation of Life is Strange. However, as a sour overshadow to that milestone, a French gaming union recently published a report talking of critical issues at Don't Nod that are impacting staff and causing rampant internal issues. We are sounding the alarm. In a breakdown by STJV, a French union, countless details were revealed about the inner workings of Don't Nod. It was stressed that the organization is sounding the alarm against the developer, claiming that there are several key concerns impacting staff members at the firm. Contradictory directions being handed down by senior stakeholders, deadlines are changing without warning, employees are being moved sporadically with no long-term vision of projects, teams have been left out in the cold by a grueling reorganization, claimed that a significant number of ill-being and sick leaves have been taken by staff working at Don't Nod. In terms of decisions being made at the highest level, it was said that the developers were made aware of Banisher's lengthy delay just 30 minutes before the general public was, highlighting a lack of transparency and erratic decision-making within the company. I'm going to tell you something. One of the core issues that I can see already behind what they're talking about here in this company is communication. There is a lack of communication both up and down the levels of or chain of command or level structure levels of you know, the employees in this company, I can see it. I can already see it. If this is true, this is the way this company is working. The lack of communication here is catastrophic to the efficiency with which this company is running. Communication is so critical. And if it doesn't flow both ways, both up and down very well, it creates so many issues. And I can already see it just in these statements. It was also said the team developing Jusant, which was released in October of last year, was shut down and dispersed following a failure to meet commercial expectations. In an employee survey, it was revealed that 30% of workers wouldn't recommend friends to join Don't Nod, and 50% of employees disapproved of the company's corporate strategy. In a damning claim, the STJV report stated that management's response to this is to bury its head in the sand, ignore communications issued by the union. Yikers, dude. Don't Nod has yet to reply to this report. Well, that's making me think twice about potentially playing this game now. You don't want to see companies like this succeed. Even though, look, here's the thing. It's always a tough thing to address because you go, well, these are bad companies. They should not continue to be able to move forward and continue to do bad things to us. What's that mean, though? That means that there are going to be people that, good people that work there that could potentially be without a job or you know, and it's a tough thing to balance there, you know, and do you just continue to go, well, if we don't support the bad companies, then good people will lose their jobs? That's a tough thing to navigate. And we're obviously we've got an article up. We're going to talk about this here in a little bit. The industry is even dealing with even more catastrophic layoffs this year than we even saw last year. So there's already a lot of that happening. And but look, man, you know, these companies that are doing this kind of thing to their employees, if they'll do it to their employees, they'll do it to us as consumers. They don't care about anything else, you know, but just the bigwigs at the top and taking advantage of people. And these are not the kinds of companies that need to be supported at all in the world, even outside of gaming. You know what I mean? But especially this is our focus here and inside of gaming as well. So I probably won't buy this game if this is the case. And I would need more information now that this is something I've been made aware of about Don't Nod. If this is in fact the case, I'll be trying to dig into more about what's happening here with Don't Nod. And you know, I don't want to support a company that is treating their employees in such a manner. This is terrible. It feels bad. Yo, thanks, dude. Yeah, this is probably going to be a lot of the same stuff we just read. Mismanagement in this one? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, let me take a look at this real quick then. Yo, thanks, Soup. Appreciate it, buddy. So shout out to Soup here. Let's see what we got additionally in this article as well. So STJV union claims Don't Nod mismanagement causing staff burnout as well. The French union raised concerns about conditions at Don't Nod, alleging a pattern of mismanagement. Studio claims are misaligned with its values. Let me say this. Look, I've worked in a lot of different places, different jobs, different careers, and I have experienced good workplaces and I've experienced very, very bad workplaces, excuse me. And I can tell you that most of the time, whenever there is a very bad culture rampant, very low morale, very bad work culture, where people aren't being taken care of, where you know, there's very bad trends of people being overworked or, you know, maybe inappropriate things happening or whatever, it is a management problem. It is people, usually, almost always, and it's the problem being, it's not everybody in management, but there's too many people in management that shouldn't be there. Usually it's this issue of it seems like a bad management style is like a virus. It's like if it gets set in and it doesn't get snuffed out pretty quick, it just spreads like wildfire. And it just if these people that act this way, treat people this way, and they get put in management positions, they don't get eliminated fairly quickly out of those positions. It just spreads like a virus. It's so gross. I've seen it happen so many times, and it's very, very hard, and it takes a lot of time to recover. It's hard to realign with positive, morale boosting things for, you know, good management styles and things. It's hard to get to the core of rooting out all the bad stuff that's happening from those bad management things that have happened, the people that have adopted those bad management practices, things like that. It's very difficult. I've seen it happen. I've seen it be turned around, but it is very difficult, and it's very time consuming, and it takes very, very smart, very dedicated people to get it done. It's a brutal thing to watch, though, because it is literally just crushing for the morale of the workforce in those workplaces. And I hate to hear about it because I've experienced it, and it sucks to be a part of it. It really does. A recent letter shared by the French game development union STJV claims Don't Nod staff have faced mismanagement from upper management. The allegations claim employees have faced burnout amid a grueling year-long reorganization, and the union is concerned that this, combined with other issues surrounding communication and shifting deadlines, warrant sounding the alarm on the situation of Don't Nod employees. In its report, the French union alleges Don't Nod endangered the welfare of its workforce through erratic communication, understaffed teams, and fraught development pipelines, and further reportedly refuses any means of direct communication between STJV and employees. Don't Nod pushed back against the allegations in a statement given to Game Developer, saying the alleged behavior does not align with our company values and culture, and that these allegations are taken seriously within the company. Quote, "We understand the importance of transparency and accountability," a company representative said. "We are committed to addressing any issues raised constructively." Jusant Banisher's developers reportedly left in the dark. Throughout the STJV report, miscommunication is said to be a big issue at Don't Nod. As I said before in that previous article we read, whether it be usually lack of communication will also result in miscommunication. So when there's not a good, solid amount of communication flow up and down the chain, or up and down the levels of the business, from, you know, lower level to top level to lower level, then a lot of water cooler talk happens and stuff too. And then it's miscommunication that ends up becoming a rampant thing. It's all part of that. Said to be a big issue at Don't Nod. For example, staff on 2023's Jusant were allegedly blindsided after Don't Nod shut down production following the game's release. They were left unsure about their future or work tasks for months, though a Don't Nod representative claims members of the Jusant team were later reassigned to other projects. The union suggests similar event occurred with Don't Nod's newest game, Banisher's Ghost of New Eden. When it was delayed from late 2023 to this week, the team reportedly didn't know until half an hour before the public reveal. That's not acceptable. Something the STJV says comes amid an employment crisis in the games industry and immediately triggered concerns within the team. Quote, "The situation is a danger to the health of the workers and imposes enormous pressure on teams who are increasingly struggling to meet deadlines," explains the letter. Employees also told STJV Don't Nod is understaffed and often lets go of its contractors. When they're rehired, it's usually during production emergencies with precarious contracts. As a result, teams say they have struggled to meet deadlines which are already said to change very frequently, according to the STJV. Yo, Reject, what's up, buddy? Give me a second, I'll read that. STJV argues Don't Nod higher-ups are potentially causing strife for everyone. Don't Nod sometimes puts out 2 games per year, which STJV says has often been erratic. The above issues mean production on projects are often allegedly started without a clear goal in mind. The union says these patterns are actively contributing to burnout at the studio. I can only imagine. 2/3 of staff responded to a mid-2023 survey conducted by Don't Nod Management. In it, 30% said they would dissuade their friends. We just read this, but I'll read it again. 30%, here's the thing also. 30%, I'll just continue here. 30% said they would dissuade their friends from applying it to developer. 39% said the studio has too much on its plate or not enough staff on hand. And 28% feel they aren't properly recognized for their work. These percentages are much too high. Much of STJV's report specifically calls Don't Nod Management the core problem. It claims management is stopping it from talking to staff despite having union representation at the studio. The union called communication with Don't Nod impossible and claims what talks it is allowed with higher-ups are closer to one-sided rants. The STJV reaffirmed its commitment to Don't Nod staff, called on management to respect workers' representatives and to resume negotiations and social dialogue as soon as possible. In comments shared with game developer, a Don't Nod representative said the company prioritizes creating a supportive and inclusive work environment where every individual is treated with respect and dignity. This sounds, we want to emphasize these allegations are taken seriously internally. This sounds like the same default BS crappy statement that any company pushes out anytime something like this happens, right? This is their PR response. You know what I mean? We're you know, we care. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is this is the crap, dude. And going forward, Don't Nod will maintain our dialogue with employees' representatives to understand better and gather more information. STJV's full report can be read here. Game developer also reached out about the larger accusations of mismanagement and contractor treatment and will update when a response is given. Yo, thank you, Soup, for this additional article here. Yeah, this is terrible to read, you know? The thing that's ridiculous about this entire situation is that you're talking about these companies that literally would be nothing without the people that work there and take care of I mean, they're the ones that do the core of the work, right? The management, you know, the few are the ones that are ruining everything here. The few, you know, it was, and again, I've seen it, dude. I've seen it. There are certain people that, there's an amount of people in the world, this is what I've come to the conclusion of. There are tried and true management practices. There's an amount of it that can be taught. There's also an amount of it that people just have naturally. Inherently, there are people that are good, charismatic, caring, you know, people that understand what it means to be a good supervisor or a good manager, right? And those people, not saying that they don't benefit also from some of the tried and true business practices that have been developed throughout the world over time and stuff, you know what I mean? But they, you know, you can tell a huge difference in people that have a natural knack or skill at being a good manager or supervisor. If you've ever experienced the difference between somebody that's good at being a supervisor or a manager and somebody that's terrible at it, you know what I'm talking about, right? And, you know, like I said before, it doesn't take a whole lot for somebody that is a bad manager to get embedded someplace and just spread those bad management practices like a virus, man. And it's really, really hard to root out that stuff after it's been embedded in there for a bit. So it's terrible to hear this. The game that they just released, Banishers, looks really good, but I'm not really looking to support this company right now with the way that they're treating their employees and everything. This is, I would like to see something different moving forward about, because, you know, I can't in good conscience, you know, the thing, it's a really tough thing to address. It's a really tough thing to address because I want to support the employees. I don't want to support the people that are putting the employees through the trenches. You know what I mean? That are treating them like crap. And so, what do? You know? I don't want to see a company succeed that is being run this way. That's what it really comes down to for me. I don't want to see a company succeed that's being conducted in this manner, that is treating their employees like this. It's rough. I feel for all the employees that are working here. I've been in this situation. I've worked in terrible places with just soul crushing, you know, morale, where it felt just disgusting waking up every morning going, Jesus Christ, I have to go back in there today. You know, that sucks, dude. I feel for these people. I hope it gets better, and we'll try to pay attention and see what happens moving forward. It's a rough look, man. Oh, reject. What? Bruh. Dog. That's terrible, dude. Yo, that sucks, dude. I'm so sorry. Yo, how, you know, that, dude, I've had some stuff happen in the past too, quite some time ago, but anytime something like that happens, it's just, you feel so violated, you know? Just feel so violated. That's terrible, dog. I'm so sorry, man. Yeah, there are a lot of just disgusting people in the world. Absolutely. Again, you know, I'll reiterate the fact that, like, which is one of the reasons why, you know, I've tried to make this place what it is. Yeah, so we all have some place to go, to come to just know you've got a solid place to hang out and support one another, have a good time, laugh, and enjoy each other's company, and know that you've always got people that you can lean on and you know, be supported by and things like that. So the world's a nasty place quite often. That's terrible, man. I really hate to hear that. That sucks so much. This is something, you know, look, in as we already are very, very digital throughout the world, right? Which means that basically anything you do is your information is just always out there in a digital aspect in many different companies, and you know, you can't ever be 100% sure that those companies are not going to get, you know, hacked, have their data stolen, you know, which means that your information is potentially going to be in there for anybody else to get their hands on or whatever. It's a terrible notion, but it's the fact of the world we live in, right? And that's why I try to make sure and advise people that try and, you know, in this digital world we live in, the best thing you can do is protect yourself. Any kind of accounts you have, use two-factor authentication. And I'm not pointing this at you, Reject. This is just a default statement for people. I have no idea how that happened, dude. It could happen to anybody, literally. But there are things you can do to help better, you know, make it harder for people to get that information. Doesn't mean it won't ever happen, but you can make it harder on people. Use two-factor authentication on all of your accounts. Any account you ever have, use two-factor authentication. If you don't know what that means, it means that, like, you're going to be using a username and a password to log in. That's something you know, right? But you'll also be sent, like, a text message, or you'll have, like, something, you know, quite often certain agencies will use, like, or organizations or businesses will use, like, a key card or something. It can be you know, additional things that you'll have to use, or even biometrics. You know, it's 2 things that you have to have. It's who you are, what you know, or what you have, I think is what those things can be. It's 2 of those things. But 2-factor authentication is huge for securing your accounts, right? Preventing people from hacking your accounts, getting into your accounts to be able to steal information, steal money, whatever. Also, I can't recommend enough that if you're not aware that this is a thing, I would highly recommend looking into this. You know, the major credit bureaus around the world allow you to buy into monthly subscriptions of credit check stuff. They monitor the dark web for you. They monitor your credit. They give you updates month to month. You can log in at any time and check that stuff. You can, well, it wasn't necessarily a bank issue. It depends on how they accessed it. If they went through the web, there's a lot of different ways it could have happened. It just depends on what kind of information they had, how they went about doing it. You know what I mean? We don't have the details there, and we don't need the details, Reject. You know what I mean? But who knows? They might already have a bank with 2-factor authentication set up. It could have been done like in some kind of physical manner. If they already had all his details and stuff, there's a lot of different ways it could have been done. I don't know. It could have been over the phone. It could have been, you know, it could have been all kinds of stuff. If they had all of Reject's personal information, then there's a lot of different ways that things like that can get taken care of. I'm just bringing up default ways in which people can help secure themselves. What I was talking about with the credit monitoring stuff, right? Credit monitoring through like who's some of the ones I can't remember off the top of my, like what is it, Equifax or whatever, or I don't know who they are anymore, man. I can't remember all their names, but you can actually lock your credit. So if you have those credit monitoring, it's just a subscription each month. It's not super expensive or anything, but you can log into your account and you can click a button that is locking your credit. So if anybody tries to, you know, apply for anything underneath your name or your, you know, social or anything like that, it automatically gets blocked, right? So I've actually accidentally blocked myself before because the flipping it'll take, like, you got to be careful because it can take a day or two after locking or unlocking for you to be able to, you know, use your you know, get back into getting lines of credit and stuff like that. But it is a very good way of protecting yourself. You know, you just got to be careful nowadays. It's really easy. There are a lot of smart people out there. Oh, really? Yeah. Like I said, I mean, it's not foolproof, right? I'm just giving, you know, some default things for people to, you know, try and use and be careful with and help protect themselves. There are a lot of smart people out there. They're always evolving the ways in which they are able to maliciously attack people, get their personal information, and extort money and you know, it's steal and things like that. It's terrible, you know. So I think the main thing that you can do is just, I figured you probably did, Reject, but for anybody else out there that's listening or paying attention to this, do the utmost that you can for yourself to protect yourself. It's never going to be 100% foolproof, but you know, you've got to, a lot of times too, if you can prove that you had all that stuff set up and somebody was still able to get in and do that stuff, your bank will still take care of you. Your bank will take care of you. They'll be like, you've done everything that you possibly could have done to prevent this from happening, and they will, you know, take care of you on the back end and everything. They'll get it all sorted for you. But it's a rough deal to take. You know, it initially is very, very hard to deal with. You know, it sucks. And it makes you feel totally violated, dude. It makes you feel totally violated. I hate that. I hate it for you, Reject. I'm sorry, dude. That sucks so bad, dude. I'm really sorry. I doubt there's probably anything I can do to help, but if there is, dude, let me know. That's rough, dude. Immortals of Avium was a $125 million awful idea, report says. Again, this was Magic Call of Duty. And dude, what was the time to beat on this? Like 15 hours? Time to beat on Immortals of Avium? Yeah, 15 hours for the main storyline. 26 hours to obtain 100%. Look, to be fair, this isn't that far off from Spider-Man 2, though, right? Is that worth a AAA price tag, guys? To me, it's not. But let's get back into this. Look, like I said, whenever I pulled this article up, you know, the creative director on this game, I think it was creative director, was somebody that used to work on Call of Duty. And one of the first things we saw about this game was them being quoted as saying, "Don't call my game, or don't call our game Magic Call of Duty." I was like, bro, you can't do that. You can't tell people what to call your game. If people play your game and they think it feels like Magic Call of Duty, you can't tell people what to think, you know what I mean? So that's why I called Immortals of Avium ever since Magic Call of Duty. Because if you're going to try to tell people what to think about a game, or if you're going to try to tell people what your game is not, it probably is what you're trying to tell people it's not, right? So, you know, my initial inkling about this game was that it wasn't going to be probably very mediocre, and it ended up being that. I told everybody that this was an EA game as well, and that people shouldn't be spending full price on this. You know, they shouldn't be buying this. Probably, if you're interested in it, it would hit EA Play 6 months later, and you could just play it on Game Pass Ultimate through EA Play or something like that. You know, where you wouldn't have as much buyer's remorse on spending full price on a game like this. But, you know, people like Soup don't like to listen to me. So, you know, all I can do is advise people. And, you know, people are going to do what people are going to do. And that's okay. All I can do is try to help to the best of my ability. But some people just don't like to listen. Immortals of Avium was released in August of 2023 to a relatively paltry reception, failing to secure traction in a bustling market that saw other, more dominating games snatch the top spots in the charts with ease. For instance, just 2 weeks after Immortals of Avium was released, Starfield dropped on Xbox and PC, snuffing out any interest players on those platforms had in the Magic-fueled FPS title from Ascendant Studios. In a recent report published by IGN, it was revealed that Immortals of Avium cost $125 million to develop, and former developers have scathing things to say about the sheer concept of creating the title when they did. White hot indictment. In a recent report written in IGN about the state of the gaming industry, a former developer from Ascendant Studios spoke harshly about Immortals of Avium. They stressed that the development cost was around $85 million, and that Electronic Arts, the game's publisher, threw in a hefty $40 million for marketing and distribution costs. This is what they had to say about the game. There was some serious talent on the development team, but trying to make a AAA single-player shooter in today's market was a truly awful idea. Especially since it was a new IP that was also trying to leverage Unreal Engine 5. What ended up launching was a bloated, repetitive campaign that was far too long. Yo, me a noob. Yo, and I just showed you, you know, what the time to beat this game was, right? They said the campaign was repetitive and far too long. It only took 15 hours to beat this game. That's how repetitive this game probably was. On Metacritic, Immortals of Avium currently sits at 66. I've got the Metacritic up. Sits at a 66 Metascore on PC with a user score of 6. Scored a little higher on Xbox, but the reviews are more or less the same across the board. Talking of a disappointing, overhyped game that failed to deliver. Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those games I called. You know, it was like, this isn't going to really pan out. This doesn't look great. You might get a little bit of entertainment out of it, but it's not going to be anything memorable. You know, that's basically what I called this game whenever it was about to release. And there you go. There are your scores, you know. So, all platforms. Xbox actually hit a 76, but you know, PS5 69, PC 66. So 69 is probably low 70s, probably average, and then user score of a 6. Very forgettable. Very forgettable. Video Game Informer goes hands-on with Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered. We already saw some stuff about this game originally, where it looked like they had done a pretty good job with the remasters here, you know. And I think this is appropriate. You take a look at the remasters, you know, how old these games are. What's really cool is they've given the remasters look good. They also gave you the ability to go back and play as Polygon Lara, you know. Poly Lara, you know, and that's really neat too. I like to see the developer give you the option of either playing with the remastered or you know, enhanced visuals, or take it back to the old school, you know, which is kind of cool. So this obviously is the remastered versions of the Lara models. Aspire's long-awaited Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remaster is due to be released on Wednesday. That's tomorrow. And thankfully, Game Informer have gone hands-on with it and uploaded their impressions ahead of the collection's launch. You can see just what has changed in the video, including the ability to switch between classic visuals and modern-day visuals, just like I was saying. You can watch around 20 minutes of Tomb Raider gameplay down below. The first Tomb Raider released in '96, nearly 30 years ago. Yeah. That's it. They're just going to give us a video of what it was like 20 minutes. Yeah, we're not going to watch this whole thing, okay? I will link it for you if you're interested. We'd already seen a little bit about this, but if you're interested in the Tomb Raider remasters, this is, you know, something that you probably want to take a look at. It does look pretty cool, and I'm glad that they're going back and grabbing these old iconic games, man, and bringing them back into the fold for people that want to play them. And the remastered visuals look really good. I think they look solid. And again, I think it's appropriate that, you know, they give people the option to play either with the remastered graphics or go back and play as the original and stuff. There are some upgraded mechanical controls and stuff, which is appropriate for a remaster as well, with the way technology has evolved over the past 30 years, you know, which you're going to have to expect with this kind of thing, and is absolutely appropriate as well. But I'll link this for you. You want to watch that. Okay, here we go. So, we have what is rumored to be a Nintendo Direct happening on Thursday. So, Nintendo Direct rumored for this week. Now, here's the thing. We had already heard that there was going to be a Nintendo Direct happening maybe next month, which was going to give a reveal of the new Nintendo hardware. That doesn't mean that's not going to happen, just because we're getting one now. But here's what I'll tell you. I am hoping that they are going to be promoting Unicorn Overlord, which is a game that I am planning on buying and playing on release earlier next month. So Unicorn Overlord is a spiritual successor to a game that I played the crap out of back on Super Nintendo called Ogre Battle. And it looks amazing. I can't wait. And I hope they at least showcase that. I am not necessarily expecting any kind of announcement about their new hardware in this Direct, because what we've been hearing rumor mill wise is that we'll get a Direct next month that is going to reveal that for us. It'll be a dedicated Direct for that, but I don't know. You know, Nintendo's always so tight-lipped about everything that you never really know, even when they're doing their Directs, what they're going to be showcasing, things like that. So let's see what's going on here. A Nintendo Direct might be happening as early as this week, according to Univ Nintendo journalist Necroleap on Twitter. The rumored Nintendo Direct is said to occur Thursday, February 15th, just in time for Valentine's Day. I think that's after. Right? Am I tripping? Isn't the 14th Valentine's Day? Am I losing my mind? Wait, hold on. Wait. Oh, wait, what? Yeah. Bro, they had me second guessing myself. Just in time? For Valentine's Day? What are you talking about? Bro, it's after. Okay, dude. Yo, Caitlin Taylor, might want to check your dates. Your significant other might be a little bit disappointed on Valentine's Day. While it's unknown how long and what will be showcased in the direct, an announcement could be expected as early as Wednesday. Yeah, scheduled for the 15th, which would be Thursday. If it's a partner direct, maybe it's shadow dropped on Thursday. As the Nintendo Switch continues down its twilight years, many fans have wondered and continue to hope for a big reveal this year for the new hardware. While nothing is certain pertaining to the Switch's successor console, more rumors have come out around a possible collaboration between Nintendo and Microsoft, mainly due to Microsoft's recently announced business update from its official Microsoft podcast. Now, we've got that coming up next as well. I'm going to talk about that. Podcast will launch this Thursday. Yep. So that's what I was going to be bringing up next. So we're watching this as well. So the Xbox podcast is Phil Spencer, a lot of the other major players and top brass of Xbox, if you will, that are going to be talking about the business strategy coming out of Xbox, because there's a lot happening there. I want them to also address the layoffs, so there's more clarity around what is happening there. The same day the rumored Nintendo Direct is alleged to air, again, Thursday. So Thursday, the 15th at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific, which means 2 o'clock our time, right? So on Thursday, we will, this is for the Xbox showcase. That's the Xbox showcase. This is when we're going to watch that. Now, what they're saying is that the Nintendo showcase direct could coincide with this in some form or fashion, maybe even right after it or something. Yeah, the podcast will feature discussions on what the future holds for Microsoft gaming with major Microsoft executives, including Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and Matt Booty. Yeah, nothing official yet, but we'll keep track of when we might be able to get this Nintendo Direct. Now, Xbox's business update, right, is officially happening. Like I just said, that's what this was going to highlight for us, but we just talked about it. Again, Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. our time, Central Time, right? We're going to be watching. So that would kind of be finishing up the stream for us. Now, if a Nintendo Direct is slated to happen directly after the Xbox stuff, then we'll watch that as well before we end the stream, okay? Just know that. But we're listening and we hear you, Spencer said on X. We've been planning a business update event for next week, where we look forward to sharing more details about our vision for the future of Xbox. So that's what we're going to get on Thursday, okay? This is one of the big things. Future of Xbox will still have a hardware component, but I don't think it's going to be the same thing that we've always seen from them. I think maybe a mobile component, maybe a smaller form factor. Who knows? But we'll see. Maybe multiple kinds of devices. That was my inkling, was that, you know, that was going to be the case. But we'll see on Thursday, okay? So this is definitely something we're going to be watching and paying attention to at the end of the day on Thursday for the stream. Now, finally, this is the culmination of our video gaming news segment for this morning. We will sum it up with this addressing of the massive layoffs, and I just wanted to, you know, skim this real quick and see what developers are trying to do in explaining the huge layoffs hitting some of the bigger companies here, because I've had my own inklings about what this is, and it's not just pandemic bloat hire, you know, coming back down to reality and having to lay off people as a result of that. I don't think that's the case. I think there might be a little bit of that, but I think it's a lot of bad business decisions from big developers that haven't panned out, and they want to, you know, use the overhire from the pandemic as a scapegoat, and nobody wants to be real transparent about what's happening. So let's dive in here and see what these companies are saying. But if anybody has anything else to add for the video gaming news segment before we finish up here and start playing Fallout New Vegas for the rest of the day, then let me know and we'll address it before we move on, okay? I've never seen it this bad. Game developers explain the huge layoffs hitting Riot, Epic, and more. An estimated 10,000 game workers lost their jobs last year alone, and this year we're already halfway past that number. We're close to 6,000 workers have lost their jobs in 2024 already. We're not even a month and a half in yet. So in August of last year, Ascendant Studios developer Aaron, name changed for anonymity, was ready to take a well-deserved victory lap. He had crunched hard with many of his colleagues in the final sprint to complete Ascendant's debut game, Immortals of Avium. Oh, wow. Look at what we're talking about here. We just talked about this game, but the team had finally done it. He attended a lunch party in the Bay Area where he celebrated with his colleagues, some of whom he said had to pay partially out of pocket to make the trip. But while the event was supposed to be jubilant, there was an uneasy atmosphere. It seemed like Immortals of Avium wasn't performing especially well. At the party, developers kept asking leadership how the game was doing, only to be met with non-committal answers. A few weeks later, almost half the studio, Aaron included, had been laid off, with managers citing Immortals of Avium's underperformance. This industry is polluted with content. It really is. It's we talk about this a lot just as gaming enthusiasts, right? So let me take just a moment here to talk about this. We talk about this a lot just as gaming enthusiasts, as game players. Our backlogs are massive, to the point of where I've had to embrace the notion a long time ago, I'll never be able to play all the games I want to play. And I've had to, try and enforce that same sentiment to people that have approached me with, how do you deal with that fact? You've just got to play what you're more interested in playing. You have to understand you'll never get everything played, right? It's just a fact. This industry is very volatile, and it's from the perspective of us as gamers, it's a weird thing to look at, right? We look at the gaming industry, and every year on end, it's more and more lucrative, right? There's more profit year on end for gaming, the video gaming industry as a whole. It's insanely lucrative. There's a lot of money to be made, but there's also, when you dive into the microeconomics of it and everything, there's a lot of wild stuff happening, right? This is one of the big things that everybody, it doesn't make a lot of sense, because there's so much money being made and there's so many people being laid off, right? And then there's all these people that think they're making these, amazing games, and they're expecting these games to do well, and then the games aren't great. And dude, again, Immortals of Avium did not look like anything special to me. I advised people not to buy that game. It wasn't anything special. It didn't, and I'm sorry, but this is the industry we live in, right? And we're gaming enthusiasts. We've had to become kind of hyper perceptive and sensitive to picking out these games that do very much appear to be something special, because we don't want to waste time on these products that aren't going to give us a phenomenal gaming experience. There's too many. We've had to become, there's different ways to approach it, right? So there's on one front, we've had to become very perceptive of these development processes, and keeping track of these titles that through their project development are indicating to us that they're not going to be great on release. because we've been jaded so much in the past and duped so much in the past by massive marketing campaigns that bait us into buying unfinished products, which sucks because, that's unacceptable. Unfortunately, there's no regulatory committees in this industry that protect us from these companies that release unfinished products. It's not acceptable. It should never happen, but it does all the time. So there's a lot of people that I think are like me that have become very, very reluctant to buy into a lot of products on release and pre-order and stuff because we've been bit too much in the past by unfinished products that perform like trash. And then there's always the opposite. The other issue is where big, huge hype campaigns for games try and build up your expectations for what a game's going to offer, and content wise they don't follow through, right? And so I think that when you combine those things with the fact that the industry is just so polluted with game releases, game after game after game after game, and we're all trying to address our backlog as consumers and gaming enthusiasts, right? Then we're a game like Immortals of Avium. Yeah, I mean, there was just nothing special there. And I'm sure to everybody that worked on that game, they probably went, this is something special. But to a lot of us that were approaching this from a consumer standpoint, we looked at it and went, it's not really there, right? And so I know that has to feel bad to hear from somebody, as if you're somebody that worked on the game, was part of the project development team, but I mean, I think the numbers speak for themselves. Yeah, when you're talking about the critic reviews, which we just looked at just a moment ago. I mean, you look at Immortals of Avium, it's right here, right? We just looked at this. The review scores are not fantastic. This is a fairly forgettable game, right? I obviously didn't play it because I didn't expect much from it in the first place, and then it came out, and I was, consensus reviews from users and critics kind of really just followed through with what I was expecting the game to be, and it's just not something that was worth investing my time in over other games that appeared to be better. And this is the issue, right? This is one of the issues that I think is plaguing the industry. We have a lot of companies that are continuing to go push more. There's not a lot of focus on quality. There's a much more of a focus on quantity over quality. And we've had to become hyper sensitive to picking out the games that are of actual quality to invest in and spend not only our money, but our time playing, because we don't have a massive, I have even more time than many other people do to play games, and I still am just constantly generating a backlog, right? A lot of other people don't have as much time as I do, and we've had to become very, very picky about what games we're going to decide to play. So it's not like every game that comes out that's mediocre is going to win. That's just not it. And so I don't know how much of this can be also attributed to maybe how much of the layoffs are happening and stuff too. I think a lot of it does, I'll stick to what I've said previously. We're going to continue reading this here, but I'm going to stick to what I've said previously. I don't think that a lot of this can be contributed to overhire and higher bloat from the pandemic. I really don't think that's it. That I know there was an amount of it, from 3 to 4 years ago when the pandemic hit and stuff like that. I know there was. But when you look at a lot of these companies, you look at the business investments that they did that didn't pan out, and who did they make pay the price? Immediately, it's like you know, a year and a half later, after these bad business decisions and investments and stuff, they turn around and they just fire people, you know, and then there's no clarity about it at all. We get no kind of actual, you know, real definitive information about, you know, did the people that made these business decisions, because you know it wasn't the people that got fired, it was the people at the top of the structure, the business structure, the executives, the managers, you know, did any of them take a pay cut? Did any of them get fired for the bad business decisions? Did any of them not take a bonus to try and save the jobs of the people that did get fired for these bad business decisions? No, I don't think that's what's happening, you know. It's a daunting look about what's going on in a lot of these bigger businesses. And it's these bigger businesses, again, that I think I'll go back to it's quantity over quality quite often. You know, there are big businesses that are doing a great job. You look at Larian, but Larian's an independent developer too. Larian's an independent developer. Do they have investors? They have investors, but they're still independent. And they're massive. And they've been doing this a long time, and they do a good job, man. You know, but then you look at it, you know, we'll talk about Ascendant Studios underneath EA. EA has been disgusting forever, right? And are they bound to have a couple of bangers be released every once in a while? Yeah, because their umbrella is too flippin' big. They have too many subsidiaries to not have a decent game come out every once in a while. But they're disgusting. EA is so gross. It's push more, dude. And they literally don't care about, it's just numbers, dude. It's just numbers, you know? So, let's get back into this. Ascendant Studios was just one of numerous studios that has laid off a chunk of its workforce in the last year and a half as part of ongoing trend of mass layoffs impacting studios large and small. There have been many attempts to answer the question of why exactly this is happening, with analysts, CEOs, and other industry experts weighing in on discussions trying to explain it. The commonly cited villain was fairly straightforward. COVID-19. Again, scapegoat, dude. I don't believe it. Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick actually put it quite effectively to us when we asked him about layoffs last November. With regard to the industry, I do think people got a little fat and happy during the pandemic, he said. I think there was a perception on the part of many that the music would never stop. I don't deny there was some overhire. I don't deny there was some bloat. The hardware side of gaming took a massive hit because no hardware could be made. You know, all the factories were shut down and everything across the world. It was just really brutal. But software was going nuts. Zelnick was stating a refrain we've heard elsewhere. The big surge in spending during the pandemic effectively tricked a lot of companies into overspending, overhiring, overestimating. Then when games revenues leveled back out in 2022 or so as gamers left the house again, cuts had to be made. The ESA has touted this explanation, as has the IGDA. A Tencent business development director told NPR the same thing. It's a likely and understandable explanation given the havoc the pandemic wreaked everywhere. But it isn't the entire story. Layoffs like the ones at Ascendant don't fit in with the pandemic narrative. And with over 10,000 layoffs last year and over 6,000 more this year, like I said before, simply saying that companies got a little too eager during a global pandemic is starting to sound overly trite. Thank you. Even executives are starting to sense they can't rely on this explanation. In Riot Games' public statement explaining the reasoning behind layoffs affecting 530 individuals, or 11% of all Riot Games, Riot admitted that the decisions that led to these cuts were made long before the pandemic began. Since 2019, we've made a number of big bets across the company with the goal of making it better to be a player. We jumped headfirst in creating new experiences and broadening our portfolio, and grew quickly as we became a multi-game, multi-experience company. Expanding our global footprint changed our operating model, bringing in new talent to match our ambitions, and ultimately doubling the size of Riot in just a few years. Today, we're a company without a sharp enough focus, and simply put, we have too many things underway. Some of the significant investments we've made aren't paying off the way we expected them to. Bad business decisions. Our costs have grown to the point where they're unsustainable. We've left ourselves with no room for experimentation or failure, which is vital to a creative company like ours. All of this puts the core of our business at risk. In this letter, Riot publicly admitted a problem that's been quite festering across the entire games industry. There's something deeply wrong with how video game executives are choosing to spend their money. Thank you. And rank and file developers keep paying the price for it. Exactly. For this piece, I spoke to over 40 game developers whose companies had been affected by layoffs in the last year. They shared with me the explanations companies gave them for what was causing the sudden loss of their livelihood. They also told me why those explanations didn't always seem to match reality. While the details in each story vary, almost all of them painted a picture of the games industry as an increasingly volatile environment fraught with high costs, growing risks, and increasing volatility. And often developers say those in charge of navigating that precarious environment have little regard for the hundreds of developers who pay their price when things go wrong. Exactly what I've just been speaking about, and what I have been touting about is one of the core problems since we've been dealing with all of these layoffs early last year. This is such a terrible thing to see. I keep trying to raise awareness about this, but it's bad business decisions, and the people that pay the price are not the people that made those bad business decisions. It's the people, the lower people on the totem pole, if you will. Moving fast and breaking things. The repeated story of companies being forced to reckon with pandemic overspending and overhiring may not be the whole story, but it's certainly part of it. A number of those we spoke to told IGN they worked at studios that ballooned in size, investment, or number of projects during 2021 and 2022. Some studios hired dozens, even hundreds of new employees. Some started multiple new projects or invested in initiatives outside of video games. Many others went on acquisition sprees. The companies like Embracer, who is dying, and it's so gross to see it, gobbling up studio after studio and growing to enormous unsustainable size. Then, when the surge of pandemic revenue leveled off, companies couldn't keep up with the costs of maintaining all those studios and projects and began to shut down and condense them. One anonymous source we spoke to, who was laid off from 2 different gaming companies last year, said that at least some of the overspending trend may not have even been motivated by a desire to get as big as possible. They felt that some studios saw the writing on the wall and expanded out of a misguided sense of self-preservation. The larger tech companies, I think, also understood that all of their competition would be growing during this period, they said. They felt that they had to artificially inflate to stay competitive in the market and survive the crash when it came if they could. In some cases, that inflation meant betting on new technologies even long after those technologies had proven risky. One former employee of OutsiderAntics, a company that claims to be making a fitness metaverse on the blockchain, called management chronically short-sighted, saying they bet on NFTs and lost. Oh, good. Don't get me started on NFTs and the blockchain. Everything being done with NFTs and blockchain right now is absolutely scummy, dude. Then 6 months later, they bet on NFTs again and lost again. Big surprise. A couple of hundred people lost their jobs as a direct result of the CEO learning nothing. They went on to describe the company making multiple investments in NFTs and blockchain tech, as well as acquiring multiple other companies, only for those investments to backfire repeatedly and the workers of recently acquired companies to be let go in mass. There didn't seem to be any strategy or plan other than keep moving, and by the time we were laid off, the CEO had sacrificed hundreds of employees to keep moving towards a destination that we never got any closer to, they continued. When you move fast and break things, you break things. 3 offices at minimum closed, throwing hundreds of employees out into the most hostile job market in years. Epic Games laid off 800 employees in September in what Tim Sweeney called a survival move. Tim Sweeney, who, by the way, is worth billions of dollars, that would allow the company to continue to pursue its metaverse initiatives. Speaking to IGN, multiple former employees suggested the financial situation at Epic found itself stemmed from a pattern of irresponsible spending on initiatives that didn't seem to have a clear strategy behind them, from a rash acquisitions to Sweeney's ongoing metaverse dreams. Then when it came time to account for that spending to investors, the company seemed confused. as to how it had gotten there in the first place and started encouraging individual employees to find ways to cut costs. A lot of that turned into people eliminating waste, especially things like servers and storage that didn't need to be running, or at least could be scaled down, said one current employee who was there in 2023. I don't know how much money was ultimately saved, but it wasn't uncommon for people to be finding millions of dollars of waste. Pretty reasonable, in my opinion, when you've got a name as big as Fortnite. This stuff can easily be overlooked, and it's not like it's really killing the company. At the time, they said Sweeney told employees Epic was taking action specifically to avoid layoffs, including cutting everyone's quarterly bonuses in half. They also recalled being told the company had billions in the bank and could weather the storm. Then in the summer, raises and promotions were delayed after performance reviews and shortly after the layoffs happened. No amount of waste removal had managed to save 800 Epic employees from Sweeney's self-described unrealistic belief that Epic could spend more than it made in order to build a metaverse. Nor has the loss of 800 employees appeared to have changed Sweeney's unrealistic belief. Just days ago, Disney made a $1.5 billion stake purchase in Epic Games to fund a persistent, open, and interoperable ecosystem that incorporates the two brands. It's an extraordinary amount of money, 5 months too late to help the people who needed it. Yep. Well, the sources I spoke to at Epic, dude, this is a very, very long article. Let's just summarize this. I'll link it for everybody. It's a very well written, but it's getting kind of lengthy. We're going to go ahead and try to summarize this. It's been a very good read. I highly recommend everybody read all of this because, look, dude, funny enough, I mean, a lot of my intuition and inklings about what's been going on with all the layoffs in the industry have been actually spoken about in this article. It's been great, you know. Not great that I've been necessarily, it's not great to talk about layoffs. Okay, so let me be very, very clear about that. It sucked. These layoffs suck. But it's been nice to have been a bit reinforced here on my notions about the fact that this scapegoating of, the pandemic bloat hire stuff was, it does appear that I've been right about that. It doesn't. I failed to believe that this was all pandemic bloat hire, a result of that. And, I could only assume that most of this had to do with bad business decisions. And it looks like this article is bringing a lot of that to light, which is this is the thing. These companies have to be called out for this kind of crap, man. It's got to be done. And this is a good article to read for this. So let's just read this Aftershock stuff, and then we'll get into the gaming content. Why is the games industry undergoing a trend of mass layoffs that seems poised to span at least 2 years, maybe longer? Why are projects and entire studios being shut down en masse? Why is funding drying up? Why do so many developers feel their only stable career option is to exit the industry entirely, even amid the industry making more money year on end? According to the people impacted, there's no simple answer. The pandemic was a single catalyst, not a cause. But there is a common theme in all of this. Making games is riskier and more expensive than ever. Absolutely. Development also increasingly depends on the decisions of outside investors and shareholders with big money to spend rather than those whose livelihoods are tied to the work. If those investors take their money elsewhere, games don't get made. Analysts say the industry will rally soon, and perhaps it will. But as many developers I spoke to lamented, how many people will have their lives upended or leave the industry altogether before that happens? I've been in the industry for 15 years, and I've never seen things this bad, said one developer who was laid off from Drifter Entertainment last year. Everyone is scared, waiting to see if their studio is going to be next. I'm worried that this year is going to cause real permanent damage and scarring to the game devs affected, and it's not going to be good. The aftershocks of this are going to resonate for the foreseeable future. Games are ultimately a labor of love and creativity, and a demoralized workforce is not going to be at its best. Yeah. again, I'll go back to like one of the sentiments I expressed towards the beginning of this, where it was about, it is a volatile industry. It's very polluted too. It's polluted with businesses. It's polluted with software. And, you know, for us as obviously there are a lot of gamers too, but we all have a backlog. None of us have enough time to play every game. And as it continues to get more, and I think this has got to be part of the problem as well. You know, it continues to get more and more polluted with more and more games. And none of us are getting any more time to play games, right? Obviously, as the population increases, there are going to be more people to play games. But it's still not going to change the issue of people as a whole are still going to be looking for the more special, polished, better content, you know, created types of games to spend their time on. That's just a fact, you know, as a whole. That's the way this goes. So the games that are created that aren't bringing into the fold those kinds of sentiments, they're being released too soon in an unfinished state, or they're being, you know, created in a way where they're just not all that fun because the content's not there, what have you, in some form or fashion. They're not going to do as well, right? And so I think that this is part of what people have to understand about the volatility of what's happening in the industry as well. I mean, there are so many games, and we're all trying to find the best ones to spend our time on, right? For what appeals to you, whatever genres you play, whatever platforms you play on, there's still just more than you can ever spend your time on. So, I don't know. But this was a good read. There's even more in here to read to reaffirm the notions that I've been trying to express about, you know, my inklings about the fact that this couldn't just be pandemic higher bloat. You know, we need more clarity. We need more transparency from these companies about. They need to start telling the truth, is what it comes down to. They need to start telling the truth. We made bad business decisions, and they need to hold people accountable for making bad business decisions and not be firing the low people in the totem pole to compensate for these bad business decisions. That's what we need to see. That's what I want to see, you know? It'll probably never happen, though. Wait, what is this? GTA 6 launch will also be positive for Ubi. What is this about, dude? Why is he even talking about this? Oh, just because he wants to play it? Oh. Well, you know, I don't mind seeing that. Yeah. I don't mind seeing that. That's actually one of the reasons I like Phil Spencer so much. Phil Spencer really won me over a while back because, you know, he's actually a true gamer. You know, he's like, I mean, we already knew all that stuff that that article that you just. Thanks for the article, buddy. But we already knew, you know, I brought up that article yesterday that showed that they were already saying that it wouldn't release until after March of next year. But Phil Spencer actually was like, what was it, last year? When did Ragnarok release? It was like November. Was it beginning of December of last year, right? No, year before last. 2022. December of 2022, right? So, you know, before Ragnarok released, Phil Spencer was in an interview in like November of 2022 and was asked like, what's your most anticipated game? And he was just straight up, he was like, God of War Ragnarok. You know, that's a PlayStation proprietary game, you know? And for me, that says a lot about somebody. Those are the kinds of people that I want at the top of a business. I want gamers, you know? Would you have ever seen Jim Ryan say something like that about an Xbox game? No way, dude. Absolutely not. I know Jim Ryan's not the CEO of PlayStation anymore, but he was at the time. You would have never, ever, ever seen Jim Ryan say something like that. That's one of the reasons that I respect Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer is going to tell it like it is, dude. He's not going to pull punches. He's like, you know, what game are you most excited to see? He was like, God of War Ragnarok. It's not even going to be on his platform, you know. I love to see that, dude. You know? Yeah. All right. Yeah, I don't know. These layoffs in the industry, dude, are just so terrible to deal with and talk about. I know I get ranting on them and stuff, so I'm sorry, but you know, it's a very important thing that we have to address. We have to keep raising awareness about it, and you know, to any of those people out there in the industry that are without a job because of layoffs, are dealing with the fear of being laid off, looking for a job because of the layoffs. Anybody in the world dealing with job loss is terrible. I just hope that everybody finds something soon, you know, that will be more fulfilling, a better fit. Grass is greener on the other side, you know what I mean? Because job loss is a terrible thing to deal with. So I feel for you if you're one of those people in that situation. We're going to go play games, man. Great news segment, by the way. So I don't know, man. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for being here and being a part of what we do. You know who I'm talking to. You guys know who I'm talking to, man. So we're going to go play Fallout New Vegas. We're going to try to get this finished up and figure out what we're going to play next. But I don't know. If anybody's been hanging out for the first time or you're watching this as a VOD later on, then, you know, this is what we do every day. We stream usually 6 days a week. Every day but Wednesday. So tomorrow will be a down day, but we'll be back on the 15th for more news and more gaming. But I take 1 day off a week, which is Wednesdays, and every other day we start off at roughly 6 a.m. CST CDT. We begin with video gaming news, trying to stay current with what's happening in the industry all the way around. And then we move on and play games for the rest of the day. So if you're digging the content, come be a part of what we do when we're live, man. We got an amazing community here full of awesome people trying to spread good vibes, take care of one another, you know, be there for one another when we need it, and just have a good time enjoying the world of video games, and you know, be civil about things, be void of negativity, toxicity, that kind of stuff. If you can dig it, come be a part of what we do. We're always looking for more good peoples to be a part of what we do, man. We have a really good time here, and very fortunate to have such an amazing community, but we're always looking for more good peoples to be a part of it, spread those good vibes, man. So other than that, dude, I'm going to run us an outro real quick to kind of sum up the news segment, because that's all we got for today, and we'll move on after this outro's over. I will be right back up here, and we'll start getting prepared for moving into our gameplay stuff for the rest of the day. But we'll be back with more news. Like I said, after our day off tomorrow, we'll be back on the 15th with video gaming news for Thursday. Cool. So until then, stay healthy, stay safe, be kind, and I'll be right back after the outro, and we'll start playing games.